What is going on, guys? Rango12 here, and you are probably like, what the hell? Rango's reviewing Iron Man? Well, yes, and mainly because you guys absolutely begged me to review this new series. Now, obviously, I haven't read hardly any of the Iron Man comics, but I'm assuming that this comic takes place after Secret Wars, you know, like maybe it's continuing from Secret Wars, just like the Amazing Spider-Man issue 1. And I've honestly got to say that I absolutely loved this issue, and I was actually really surprised. It's pretty much like reading the movie Tony Stark, if you get what I mean. So, yeah, without further ado, guys, let's jump into it, and let's review this issue of the Invincible Iron Man issue 1. So we jump into the issue, and right off the bat you can tell that something's going down, whether it's a deal, whether it's some shady stuff. I actually thought that it was the Kingpin at first, but obviously when I got a better look at him, it definitely was not him. But you can see that he's making some kind of shady deal with an even more powerful person than himself. So we discover that this guy wants to disappear from a company called AIM, and I have a feeling that we're probably going to be hearing from this company again in the future of these issues. But you can see whatever he's brought to this character kind of reminds me of the Zodiac Key out of Ultimate Spider-Man, and just out of the blue, once this character receives this object inside the briefcase, I think it's a girl, she just straight up shoots this guy point blank in the face, and that was that pretty much. So right from the get-go, you can tell that something's going to be going down, and this is probably going to be the main villain for this series at the minute. And before I forget, that character is actually called Whitney Frost, aka Madame Mask or Madame Masque, I'm not too sure. Now, we're a few pages into this comic right now, guys, and I've honestly got to say that I am absolutely loving the artwork as well. And I've never really commented on this before, but I really love like the layout of the panels in the comic. You know, the way each drawing is set out, etc. It's just awesome. As we move throughout the issue, we now go over to Tony Stark at his workstation, and he's kind of reminiscing over the years of him being an Avenger, being Iron Man, etc., and creating this piece of armor that revolutionized the set of technology that he was creating. He became the person that was ahead of everything, and he even states it himself here, he was ahead of the curve until some 15-year-old kid reverse engineered his Iron Man armor and pretty much made the technology available worldwide. So now Tony Stark is back again, creating a new piece of armor, which is again going to revolutionize the technology of Tony Stark, once again putting him ahead of the curve, showing people that he's not done creating awesome technology and being a badass whilst doing it. So we get our very first look at the brand new Iron Man armor that Tony Stark is going to be wearing throughout this Invincible Iron Man series, and it looks so awesome. I absolutely love the LEDs in the top of his hands, and I love how the suit kind of just forms together, like it looks like a onesie kind of, if you get what I mean. It looks very clean and very minimalistic, and that's just awesome. Tony Stark even wants to take the suit out for a test run instantly to test out all of the crazy new things that he's got on it, and this new armor actually changes shape and color depending on what the mission is, which is amazing. Now, sadly, Tony Stark actually can't take his new suit out because he's got a date, and that is just so like Tony Stark, to always have a date, to always have a girl to go to. And he's a pretty smooth guy, and also he's hilariously famous, and of course he's part of the Avengers. He even begins to show off a little bit to his date, and I think that's just so like Tony Stark to do. Really reminds me of the Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark out of Iron Man 1. Now, while Tony Stark is on his date, he's having a pretty decent time, but then we get thrown over to the Stark Tower in Japan, where we once again see this character from the beginning launching herself out of a window, which looks like something out of the Matrix. And you can tell that she's not a character to be trifled with, because she takes out all of these guys pretty much instantly when they're chasing after her. But one thing that is quite evident is that she's on a mission. But what is that mission? Well, we'll probably find that out in the issues to come in the future. But whilst all this is going on, before we even discover what's happening, we get thrown back over to Tony Stark again with his date. And this right here was by far one of my favourite parts of the comic, bringing in that unique humour that Tony Stark has, which is where he kind of made a joke saying that if he wanted to show off, then he'd get Thor to stop by, and then 2 seconds later, Thor does actually stop by, obviously because he planned it to happen, but since he said that he wasn't going to do that, when Thor does turn up, he turns around and tells her to go away before she lands. And one thing that actually took me by surprise as well was that Thor was a girl. Now, I completely forgot that they rebooted Thor as a girl in the comic, so that was actually really interesting for me to see. Now, as we move on throughout the issue, we also get a little bit of development from Tony Stark's date, and obviously these two guys are creative geniuses, so they obviously have quite a lot in common, and you can see that Tony Stark is touching upon the fact that these two guys both have creations that they've invented that they can't release to the world, that they can't reveal to the world, because they know that it'd be a disaster. And she's actually beginning to talk about how she's found a cure for mutants, and the reason she's kept this a secret is because we all saw what happened in X-Men The Last Stand. Once the humans get a cure for mutants, they will pretty much make it a law for every mutant to take this cure, especially if it lands in the wrong hands and becomes a weapon. Now, I have to say that I am really loving the interaction between these two characters. And you can even see Tony Stark going in for the kiss here, and obviously this woman isn't just some random date. She's intelligent, she knows what she's going after, and she doesn't care how famous Tony Stark is. Well, obviously she does a bit, but that's not the point. And I love her response to him trying to do this, because it kind of shows that she's going to be a character relevant to the story and relevant to the character for more than one issue. Like, I'm expecting to see this character again. Now, don't know about you guys, but I just get this sense of awkwardness fill the page. But luckily, Tony Stark has done this a million times, so he takes it pretty well. And something that always happens is that when something gets a little bit awkward, there's always something to break the awkwardness. And that was Tony Stark's AI Friday popping up to let him know that Whitney Frost is attacking the one and only Latveria, the land of Dr. Doom. Now, this is a reason why I think that this series is set after the events of Secret Wars, because we also get Castle Doomstat. Now, I'm not too sure whether this was originally in Latveria, because obviously I don't read that many comics with Dr. Doom in them, but I do know that Castle Doomstat was in the Secret Wars series. So, is that left there from the Secret Wars series, or has it always been there? Maybe you guys can help me out with that. But as you can see, Tony Stark does not waste time getting back into his Iron Man armor and taking his new suit for a test run and going straight there to see what's going on. And as I said earlier, the artwork in this comic is phenomenal, especially the artwork with Tony Stark in the Iron Man armor. As you can see, we get this incredible art piece of Tony Stark right here blasting off, creating a sonic boom away from his Stark Tower. Something else that we also discover when Tony Stark gets to Latveria is that ever since Dr. Doom lost control of his country, pretty much the neighbouring countries fired upon Latveria, pretty much destroying the place. And when Iron Man lands in there, I'd say that he's pretty surprised with what he's seeing. Now, as Iron Man lands in this wasteland, he gets greeted by some foreign gunmen, obviously not speaking English and obviously not understanding what Tony Stark is saying. He's stood there about to get obliterated by weapons, obviously not going to be doing anything, but then all of the guys in front of him just drop on the floor due to some kind of sonic blast. And luckily, Tony Stark's suit automatically absorbed that sonic blast, so it didn't affect him. And we turn around to see a random shining knight coming out of this portal, and Tony Stark seems to recognize the voice, and as it gets closer, we realize that he's the one and the only Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom. And that is actually where the issue comes to a close. That was the final page of the Invincible Iron Man issue 1. So what did you guys think of the first issue? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if I got anything wrong or you've got anything to tell me, just let me know and I'll remember that for next time. But if this is truly set after Secret Wars, then how is Victor Von Doom still alive? Like, obviously we don't know what happens at the end of Secret Wars yet because the final issue hasn't released yet, but is that the same Dr. Doom from Secret Wars, or like, I don't know. Let's see what you guys think. But as of right now, I'm going to be giving this issue a 9 out of 10, especially for my first introduction to the Tony Stark character in the comics at least, and him just being exactly like the badass out of the movies. I absolutely love this series right now, so yeah, I will be reviewing issue 2, that's a confirmed fact. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. So we're going to wrap up this video by telling you guys to go to the links in the description to follow me on Twitter and Facebook for all the latest in comic book news and updates. Don't forget that I'm doing a giveaway for the Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 on my Instagram, so you can go and check that out in the link in the description. And last but not least, if you want more, hit the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all later.